Hello, everybody. This is TJR. I am here with my friend Robert Kinsler, music writer for the Orange County Register and longtime co-conspirator and collaborator, and my sometimes arch nemesis too.
Right.
And I'm also here with our good friend Kathy, who is our U2 superfan in residence.
Okay.
And back in 2014, U2 released the album Songs of Innocence. And even when it was released, we knew that it was part one of a two-part conceptual album. And so we got together, and the three of us discussed the album track by track. Now, after that video was released, I placed the two of you in suspended animation, in cryogenic freezing, so that you would be fresh when I thawed you out to discuss Songs of Experience here in 2017. So I want to say it's good to see both of you.
Yeah, and we feel much better now that we're a little bit warmer now, too.
Yeah, definitely.
Good to be thawed out.
And you're both younger than me now.
That's right,
That's
exactly.
correct.
Because I've aged. And so at any rate, though, so yeah, we thought it'd be cool to get back together and reconvene and discuss the new album, Songs of Experience, which at the time that we're recording this, the album has been available for 24 hours. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And we're going to go track by track and discuss our thoughts and our impressions of the songs and the album. And but before we start, just opening thoughts. Who wants to go first?
Okay, I'll go.
Robert.
Okay, I'll go. This is Robert. I'll go first. My initial thoughts are this certainly sounds like it's part two of the same album. I mean, there's a natural sonic connection between these two discs, even though it's been a few years separating them, 2014 to 2017. They do sound like they could have all been recorded at the same time, or these could be very excellent, great B-sides of the first album. You know, and that's not a put down, because throughout their career, U2 has released some amazing B-sides that could rightfully occupy the albums of those periods without batting an eye. Just great songs. What I will say, and I'm a huge U2 fan. I've seen them dating back to the US Festival in 1983. I've seen U2 at least 20-something times, probably close to 24 times. This album is not going to surprise you. There's a lot of signature U2 here, but the songs are very, very good. So if you're looking for a U2 that's going someplace you haven't heard before, you're not going to hear that, I don't think, with this album. Mm-hmm. But that is not to say that upon 24 hours of listening to it, that it's a very good album.
Okay. And now, Kathy, what do you want to say? What are your opening thoughts?
Well, I agree with Robert, and I think that was intentional, that the album harkens back to because they're looking back over their career in this, and I think that's, so that was intentional. I think that the album is, it definitely...
How did you feel about it after you first heard it? What did you think?
I was very pleased. I like the album quite a bit.
Okay.
It's a really strong album from them. It definitely bookends the Songs of Innocence and completes that cycle of albums, the two. It's definitely a duology.
Okay. Now, I'm not going to be the bad guy. I think I was the bad guy the last time we did this, and that I was probably the least impressed with Songs of Innocence.
You're the bad guy every time. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I am the bad guy. But I think I was the least impressed with the album. But I think back then I did say, however, I reserve the right to change my opinion if the album has had time to grow on with me. Mm-hmm. I've discovered that ever since 2000, ever since All That You Cannot Leave Behind, none of the albums have hit me as strongly as all the albums previously, where they would hit me very strongly, very quickly. Mm-hmm. These albums took more time to grow on me, and I would return to these albums after, say, a year or so and find that I liked them a lot better with the passage of time. I don't know why it has been this way with me for the U2 albums, but this is U2. They have delivered some masterpieces to me, which I'm very grateful for. So, yes, I am going to give an album of theirs, if it doesn't immediately hit me right away, I am going to give it more the benefit of the doubt, and I'm going to give it more time to grow on me. And they did. This album, I'll admit, is growing on me a lot quicker than Songs of Innocence did. Mm-hmm. And I'm definitely going to say that even this early on, after only 24 hours, this is a stronger album than Songs of Innocence. Mm-hmm. I'm definitely going to say that, at least. And we'll talk more about that in a little bit. So let's go ahead. Let's talk about let's just start with the tracks. The first track is "Love Is All We Have Left." Okay, so who wants to go first?
I'll go.
Go ahead.
This is a great song. I really enjoy it. I like the kind of talk boxy effect that they had there. I don't know if it was talk box or auto tune.
It is actually auto tune. However, it is auto tune done more for an effect than to auto tune someone's voice.
And I would concur with that.
Yeah, definitely not to auto tune.
I would agree with your talk box analogy that it's more of an effect thing than anything else. What do you think this song is about?
I think that it's a song about he and his wife and their relationship. I think that's kind of an ongoing theme.
I feel
in
like
this album.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I feel like he kind of juxtapositions his place as a star versus his place as a husband with that line about, all I have is my immortality, or all we have is our immortality. I think that's like a juxtaposition between him being a big star versus him being a mortal human being. Robert, what you
and I hadn't actually listened to that, Carol. It's fascinating to hear you say that. For me, what I was going to say, the notes I had made in my mind here was that, you think about it over the years, dating back to forever, so many songs, probably more than half the songs are written about love.
Yeah.
And it's such an overused expression. This is such an intimate and moving kind of space that where he's singing, and it's like it's fresh and it's new and it's not a cliche, and it's very and the fact that, like you're saying, it's more than likely about Bono's wife. Her name's Allie, as I recall.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. About just a beautiful song, and the sonic tapestry. It's very sparse. It sounds like it's very synthesizers are kind of behind him, but just a very intimate, very powerful portrayal. Less is more. I would say we're in the case of this song.
Okay. Now that you've said that, I'm going to be once again a little bit of the bad guy here.
Okay.
I have a few critiques. The producer in me, the record producer in me, has a few critiques about it. I kept waiting for the band to break in. I was kind of meh about this when I first heard it. I kept waiting for the band to suddenly break into the song, and it doesn't happen. I kind of said to myself, well, I guess I look at this as sort of like a prelude to what is going to be track 2, which we'll discuss in a moment.
Okay.
But as a prelude, I felt like it should have been like a shorter piece, just a short little soft prelude, and then we go into the actual song proper, because the rest of the band's not on this.
Okay.
By and large. There's the keyboard work. I haven't looked at all the credits on it exactly, but there's 4 producers on this album, and they are all doing musical contributions to
so you're
keyboards
thinking
and
that's
guitar.
not Edge. It's probably one of the producers.
It might be one of the producers. It might be Edge. It might be Edge. But it's not the band proper yet. It's just a little prelude. To me, it's a prelude. To me, this should have been. To me, I just felt like this should have been a shorter track.
Okay.
Just a little more succinct, rather than trying to be a full length song. That's just my opinion.
Yeah.
You don't have to like it.
Yeah, no, you're not off base. I will say that with a song like this, it's almost like what you said earlier. It might take a little bit more time to say, and when you have the whole album and how everything fits in. Yeah. I don't know yet, because, like I said, these are very immediate impressions.
Well, yeah,
for me. So
that's your honest impression. I like that. So the next track that we're going to have is track 2, Lights of Home. And now, who wants to start first?
I'll take a stab at it.
Okay.
How's that sound? Now, this is Lights of Home. I have to say that very beginning intro, and I haven't seen credits on it. I just love that heavy guitar groove, and it sounds like it might actually be the guitar and the bass is what it at least it sounds on the system. We've heard it here today, and this overall song, it has a kind of a blues feel to it, which doesn't jump out at you a lot of times when you listen to U2, nowadays. So I really like that, and I love the slide guitar solo in it. And then in the song, I know the first song we talked about, like you said, it kind of occupied one space and didn't grow. This is the exact opposite. This is an ambitious song where it does grow, where you have a big vocals finale, which almost, it juggles back and forth between gospel and soul, the kind of feel. Just a very great song, one of my favorites on the album.
Mm-hmm. Very good. Now, before I say anything, Kathy, do you want to opine or?
Yeah, I like this song a lot too. I think it's probably my favorite.
Off the whole album?
Off the whole album.
Okay.
I love the rhythms. It's very American Indian drum beat feeling.
Okay, I can understand. I can hear what you're saying.
Yeah, I do too. I hadn't thought of that, but yeah, I think it. So it's not just gospel and soul. Yeah, it does. Like it has that
Tribal.
It has a tribal quality to it, and it really works.
Yeah, this song was co-written by U2 and the Haim sisters. There's quite a bit of collaboration on this album. This is one of those collaborations. The Haim sisters are with the band Haim, in case you aren't familiar, and I liked this song right off the bat. I love that opening guitar. Do 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 do. I love that part.
Very cool.
Edge is playing guitar with Jackknife Lee.
Oh,
who is one of the producers on this album, one of the 4 producers. And you're going to hear this a lot in this album, where the producers are collaborating musically, playing guitar, playing keyboards, or doing programming, where they are collaborating with U2 on this album. I'm going to assume, though, that the main guitar riff is Edge's creation.
Yeah, I would think so, too.
But he's playing guitar with him on this here. And that's another thing, is that we have more, on certain songs, we have more than one guitar player playing, besides the Edge. I agree. This immediately, without having to hear it a second time, I immediately was sold on this song, which Songs of Innocence didn't really do for me a whole lot, except maybe 1 or 2 tracks. You know, this is the first of a couple of songs that really got me right at the very beginning. It's a great little rocker, and also I love the outro. The Free Yourself to Be Yourself, where it totally changes gears and kind of even goes into this little bit of a, should I say, slightly Beatlesque vibe? Slightly, Free Yourself to Be Yourself. The way they're singing together, the harmonies. There's just something about that just feels not blatantly Beatlesque, but somewhat slightly Beatlesque, in my opinion.
And they're pushing themselves here, which is what you want to, and I know I said before, that's one of the great things about U2, especially in the early part of their career. Every time you go, what are they going to do next? And you were almost always rewarded as a listener.
Okay.
And that's one of the things when I hear that a new U2 album's coming out, I really want to hear that the band is, that they're challenging themselves and challenging their listeners.
Okay. I'm going to have some criticisms about that, but we'll get to that later.
Okay.
We'll get to that later. Before we go to the next track, anyone else have anything they want to say, real quick?
No, just this is a great song, and
definitely.
Yeah, and if you think, like I said before, leading up to today, I had not read any reviews, but when I was listening to some of the tracks on YouTube, I saw some of the the haters out there. I think is what we call them in social media sphere, and somebody said U2 hasn't done a good album or hasn't done a good new album in 4 records or something like that. I would totally do. You hear a song like this and it's like, okay, what are you smoking? What else are you listening out there is blowing you away? This is a great song. I want to actually comment on this a little bit here. Not too long ago, I did do some videos on the channel where I did talk about the advanced tracks, and I did talk about how I haven't felt as strongly about U2's album since 2000, since All You Cannot Leave Behind, which was a great
versus
album.
Everything previously. I've not felt as strongly. Now some people did start responding. I agree with you. They haven't done anything good in ages, and they took it as that. And I said I haven't felt as strongly.
Right.
Not that I didn't think the albums were good. Not that I didn't think there were good songs. I always thought there were good songs. I've said yes, they took longer to grow on me. Yes, it took me. I grew to appreciate them more as time has gone on. I do feel they're making good songs. I think it's unfair when an artist has a period of time where they make just these, and we've seen this before with other artists, where they make these masterworks during like a certain period, a certain decade. U2 had this period of time during the mid to late 80s into the mid 90s or so. They had this period. Elton John had this period through the 70s where he admits he'll never have that creative spark ever again. Pink Floyd had a period where they at first they were like defining themselves for a number of albums, then they hit upon this period of time where they did all these amazing albums, and it's unfair to expect a band to always maintain that. Because Elton did come back in the 2000s and started to make some good albums, maybe not as amazing as what he did in the 70s, but he started making really good albums. And I just think it's unfair to expect artists to, if it's not the Joshua Tree, if it's not, it's not Unforgettable Fire, and also bands can't keep doing the same thing over and over again. Metallica got a lot of flack when they made the Black Album.
Yeah, they sure did.
And and I remember I talked to a huge Metallica fan at the time. I said, bands have to change. They have to change. They can't just stay in one place. They have to keep growing and changing. U2 is growing and changing. I may not react personally as strong to it as say maybe others have, and you two seem to be reacting strongly to it. But that's just me, and that's just you. And so I kind of wanted to point that out. Just because maybe I don't react as strongly to it doesn't mean that it's not good, and that it's that I think it's all bad. So I wanted to kind of take a moment to talk about that.
No, it just means that we're right and you're wrong.
Exactly.
That's straight and to the point.
Exactly. So now with that out of the way, let's go to track 3 here, which is the first single that was released. Best Thing About Me. Is it Best Thing About Me, or You're the Best Thing About Me? I'll double check.
Yeah.
But yeah, The Best Thing About Me is the first advanced single. And so we're going to talk about that. Okay, so who wants to go first? Anybody?
You go.
You go.
Okay, I'm going to go first then. And it's interesting because, like I said, this was the first advanced single. My initial reaction to this track was not all that stellar, to be honest. I thought it was just kind of a so-so, okay, kind of a decent rock track. I did change my opinion when I heard the acoustic version that got released maybe around the same time, if I'm not mistaken. I responded much stronger to the acoustic version. Now, one thing I will say, though, even it's growing on me. I'll admit it's growing on me. This album version is growing on me. But even when I first heard it, I recognize that the song is deceptive at first. It does kind of make you think that this comes off as just a simple love song, but then you have that tension right before the instrumental bridge, because he's been singing all along, "You're the best thing about me, you're the best thing about me." Then why am I walking away? Which he says right before the instrumental bridge, and then he sings it again at the end with that same tension. So I did catch that, and I thought, okay, there is more to this song than meets the eye or meets the ear, however you want to say it. But when I listened to it after the album was released and I could look at the lyrics, I kind of wondered. There was that line that I couldn't quite catch when I didn't have the lyrics, where he's talking about the best thing about a boy. You're the best thing about me. And I wondered, was he talking about his son?
No, that was about the album boy.
The album, okay, the album boy.
I think that was referring to the album boy.
You're the best. Oh, okay, that would make sense. But what is? Okay, so are you, Kathy? Are you saying?
I think that when we saw them back in September, when we went to San Diego, Bono said, the person this song is about is here tonight, Allie. He mentioned his wife, Allie.
Oh, okay.
And that she was there and that the song was about her.
Oh, okay.
Which was another big clue.
But
okay,
I
probably didn't.
And I'll inject here, though, because just this morning when we were prepping to do the show, I watched the official video, which I hadn't seen. And of course, I know throughout music history, a lot of times videos have nothing to do with the song.
Yeah.
But, it was interesting because the video looks like it's about the relationship of the band members. Like there's parts where Bono's kind of pats the edge on, and they're showing the four of them playing and kind of walking backstage. But then also it shows the band interacting with their fans. Kind of like signing autographs and being, and I have to say I enjoyed the song much more watching it with the video. I like you thought the song was okay, but it did. I'm not thinking like this was one of the great U2 songs of all time or anything like that. It's a very good song, but it's not a song that goes into a stellar region or anything like that. So, but again, that's interesting because I was at that show as well, and I didn't recall that offhand. So, what you're saying, Kathy, is okay. Yeah, and I trust you on that. Yeah,
that would make more sense then.
That would
about that he's saying his wife is the best thing about their album, their first album, Boy.
No, about him.
About him, maybe.
Oh, okay.
That would make more sense. That it's about their relationship and that like she makes him better. I
see.
So, interesting.
Which is kind of what I've heard a lot.
yeah.
Like I said, it's growing on me. It's still kind of just a decent rock and roll song. I don't think it's the best song on the album.
Yeah, no, by no means.
I may feel strong. I like the acoustic version much better. If there's no other comments on this track, we'll go to the next one, which is track number 4. Get Out of Your Own Way. So who wants to go first?
I'll go.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm not sure what this song is about, really. It might be about one of his daughters. There might be some more political connotations. I'm kind of not sure where it's coming from. I do like it, musically and lyrically.
Okay. These are extremely personal songs. I'm, from the best I could tell. Robert, there's something. Well, no, you go ahead, Robert. If you want to say something,
I was going to say
I
I love the lyrics here, but I struggle also. I can't put my finger on it, what exactly it is, but I love kind of the way Bono's dancing vocals is what I might say. There's a very intoxicating chorus. I will tell you that this to me is a little bit of where I feel like U2's trying to tap into a little bit what's happening in modern music, kind of like what Coldplay has done a little bit. I don't know if I can be more specific of that here on a dime, but this, to me, this sounds like signature U2, but it also sounds like they're trying to be contemporary. But I think it works here. I think that it's a good song. It's a song every time I hear it, I like it more than the previous time I heard it. And I say it's a very good song.
Okay. Now, once again, I'm going to be a little bit of the bad guy here. I was kind of meh when I first heard this. Kind of like, okay, it's fine, it's nice, it's pleasant. As far as what it's about, and it's interesting. This was also an advanced track. It's funny how, on these two advanced tracks, I was kind of meh about it. If I was to say what I thought this was about, just when I first heard it and I heard the chorus, "Get Out of Your Own Way," the first thing I would have thought, I did think of, was kind of how we sometimes are our own worst enemies. We are sometimes what keeps us from realizing our best potential, being the best that we can be. We tend to let our own fears and insecurities get in our way. And so to me, when I first listened to it, I thought, well, that's probably what it's about. Now, of course, listening to the rest of the verses and actually getting to read the lyrics now, I could be completely wrong about it. There's a lot. There's a lot of poetry in these lyrics. I do admit the lyrics are very. This song does work better if I'm reading the lyrics while I listen to it. This song, though, is growing on me more than the other advanced track. Best Thing About Me. So so I will say that much for it. I do kind of. I'm enjoying this one better. I love Kendrick Lamar's closing speech, though, as this song starts to fade out. And, of course, his closing speech continues in the next track, which is American Soul, which we're going to get to in just a moment. But I do really enjoy his little, I don't want to say rap, because he's not really rapping in this case. He's just doing a little soliloquy there. He's doing a little flip on the Bible. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall, so on and so forth. He's doing a little flip on that, and it's a very funny flip on it. I really do like that. Before we go to the next track, is there anything else that anybody wants to say? Or shall we move on?
Yeah, let's move on.
Let's move on. Okay, so we're going to go to track 5, which is American Soul. And who wants to go first?
Okay, I'll give American Soul a jab.
Go?
Yeah.
Go for it.
This is, I have to say, this is a song. On one hand, you listen to it; it has a great riff rock, heavy guitar groove. It's cool, but I'm also hearing that it kind of is like revisiting what they did with Vertigo or Elevation. It's just kind of like, I feel like they're not pushing themselves here. I know we've kind of alluded to that, and I want you two to do that. It's obviously very political, and maybe that's where they're just trying to get musical accompaniment that kind of supports their political message here. And it sounds like, at least, and you two can correct me if I'm wrong, it sounds like this is kind of a jab at the Trump administration, like America should be this, it shouldn't be that, But I have to just say, as a song, the song hasn't really done much for me compared to some of the other songs on there.
Wow.
And I'm anxious to see what you two think, because I'm sure I'll probably you two will disagree with me there.
Okay. Kathy, do you want to answer, or shall I?
I like this song quite a bit. Lyrically, I like kind of the comparison of America to a sound, because when we went to Europe. There is definitely a difference and a different feel to America than there is Europe, and you kind of don't understand it until you've been there, and it's quieter. It's just it's a cultural difference.
Can you elaborate that a little bit more as far as what you mean by the song or the music or anything? Can you
Well, he
elaborate a
talks
little bit.
about in the lyrically about America is not
says
something that you see; it's a sound.
Yeah, he said America's a sound. It's drums and bass.
It's drums and bass,
Yeah.
whereas it's just a different. It feels different here than it does there, and until you've been there, you don't really get that. And I'm sure vice versa.
Since I've been to Europe, I can understand what you're saying. I should interject here. This song here, maybe I should just start what I think on it here.
Okay.
I'll be honest. When I first heard the song, and this was the first advanced track where I went, yes, yes. Now, I didn't see any political analogies when I first listened to it. I didn't hear any political analogies. I thought, well, this is a killer rock track. It kind of, to a certain extent, the chorus felt like a little bit of a play on a lot of 80s pop metal. Which is kind of funny. I hated that era, personally. But a lot of that 80s pop metal where you have these big shout choruses, you know, the right to rock, and then everybody would shout rock. And I think I picked one of the stupidest songs from that time period that I could possibly think of. I think that was Keel. I think one of the stupidest songs ever. Gosh, I can't believe I thought of that song. But I've tried to put that song out of my memory. But it kind of felt like a play on those type of big, giant shout-along choruses of 80s rock, metal, pop metal songs.
Well, that's what I was getting
done well, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I totally dug this track right from the get-go. Now, I thought the whole thing about American Soul was that at first I thought, American Soul, like soul music. I remembered back when U2 won the Grammy for the Joshua Tree, he made this remark in America to an American audience on the Grammy saying, U2, when we founded, we wanted to make soul music. We want to make soul music. And there was this pause. People were like, you guys think you're a soul band? You kind of almost see here, you could almost feel the tension in the audience. You guys think you're a soul band? And Bono then said, he paused and he said, and what I mean by soul music is that it's coming from your heart. He's talking about how it's coming from your heart and not from what drum beat you're using. And it's coming from, this place inside of you. And the whole audience started to applaud about what he was saying there. That now he clarified what he meant by soul music.
Yeah.
Not that he thought that they were a black R&B band, but that they were making music that came from just the deepest places of their hearts. And everybody just thought, that's great sentiment, But I felt like he was kind of commenting on what he felt was kind of the contradictory natures of the soul of America.
Okay.
That there's a lot of contradictory thoughts about what America's soul is, which is true in this time period.
Oh, right? It is very much so. And, like I said, when I first heard it, I heard primarily it sounds like, okay, U2's kind of, like I alluded to, is doing kind of this riff rock type style. And I go, other bands, whether it's AC/DC or the Smithereens or some other bands have done, Bad Company have done that very, very well. This is kind of maybe their modernistic. Not that they sound like any of those bands, they don't.
Yeah, no, of course not.
But it may be that kind of approach, and I just don't think it works, at least in this setting, worked as well for me. But, I acknowledge, just like we have other where, these songs are going to, everybody's going to hear them personally, whether they like them or not.
Yeah.
This is just not one of the songs that, at least so far in 24 hours, has connected with me.
Yeah.
And that may change a week from now.
It could.
Yeah.
One thing I should state is that, of course, Kendrick Lamar's soliloquy continues at the beginning of this track where he talks about, blessed are the bullies, for someday they will have to, stand up to themselves.
Yeah.
And this track is a continuation of the collaboration that U2 did with Kendrick Lamar on his album Damn. I feel I should point that out. The song, I don't know if it's called XXX or Triple X. I'm not sure how you're supposed to say it. But in that song, of course, you hear the genesis of this song where Bono does sing, U2 did collaborate, and Bono does sing that line about America is not a place, it's a sound of drums and bass. That line is in there. I just thought I should point that out. So Kendrick Lamar is kind of coming back and returning the favor of U2 appearing on his album. If there are no more... does anyone else have anything they want to say about this track? Or are we all...
No, I think
I'm good.
Good. Okay, so now let's move on to track 6 here. And it's Summer of Love.
So I'm going to dip back into the Summer of Love, which I assume it was 1967, the original Summer of Love, but I don't think that's what they're talking about in the song. I'm not sure.
Okay.
That's why I wanted to ask you to. I love the song itself. I mean, as far as it has kind of this techno tinged folk rock vibe.
Okay.
You know, a sublime chorus, and I love the nuanced guitar lines. I just love the musical surface of the song, but I'm really not sure what they're singing about. Maybe it's supposed to be where you're not quite sure, but I love the song.
Do you want to say anything, Kathy, or shall I jump in?
I like this song quite a bit. I don't think they were talking about the original song.
Yeah, that's the only thing I'm sure of. I don't think they're talking about that.
Yeah.
Because he sings about the West Coast, but not the one that you're thinking of, meaning probably not San Francisco and LA and stuff. But not really sure what's going on here, but I love the music.
I like this song pretty much straight away also. I was really, and I like your description of techno folk rock. I do like that. I was trying to put my finger on it because I was catching on to the whole kind of the folk aspect of it, but hadn't made that techno aspect.
But
that helps me.
That interesting kind of atmospheric guitar in there sounds like something you might hear in more of a techno type setting. You know,
I agree.
Yeah, or ambient. Or
now that I've heard
like
you say it, I agree.
Yeah.
You've helped me you've turned the light on in my head a little bit there. You just turned on the light bulb. I appreciate that. As I listened to this, my first thought was, as far as the whole Summer of Love part of it, my first thought was that I wrote down, Bono is not hoping for a return to the 60s, but for another moment in history where music and culture make a lasting impact on America and the world. That was my first thought. Now, however, then, I began to hear a little bit of internet chatter. And once again, this is internet chatter. This is all speculation. That the song might be about Syria. And maybe that's why he says, I've been thinking about the West Coast, not the one you
because Syria does connect to the Mediterranean, right? As I recall, right? I think they're a seaside power.
I'm probably not the best person to ask that question to.
But I think they do. I think they do connect to the ocean.
Okay.
Yeah. So maybe that is.
Maybe that's how we.
So they have a west end. That would be on their west side of the country. As I used to, we're not geography majors.
Yeah, we're not geography majors. But yeah, I see your point. But that might have more to do with that, and that that kind of put a different spin on it. Made me think, these people definitely need a summer of love.
They do. Yeah, they need a little change there. Yeah.
And so that might be, and that puts a real huge spin on how I might interpret the lyrics as I listen to it. Irregardless, though, I really, really like the song. I should mention that Lady Gaga and Ryan Tedder, who is once again one of the album's four producers.
He's with One Republic, as I recall. I've seen him before. Yeah.
Yeah. And they both sing backup vocals.
Oh, they do. Okay.
Yeah. There was nothing about it that made me think, that's Lady Gaga.
Yeah, there's
unless
not.
I read the credits.
Yeah, I didn't know that. That's surprising. But it's a great song.
Yeah, and I know she's the big star. Her being on there is no way comes off as a gimmick.
Yeah.
In fact, neither does Kendrick Lamar. His being there doesn't come off as a gimmick. His soliloquy adds, and her vocals are fine, and so is Ryan Tedder. But I overall I'm definitely feeling it on this song.
Yeah, definitely good call. I think all three of us agree this is one of the highlights on the album.
Definitely.
Well, I think Soul of America for me is a highlight for me.
Okay.
But it's a good song.
It's a good song. Okay. Well, we'll agree on that anyway.
Okay.
That's good.
And so that takes us to track 7 now. We're getting close to the halfway point here on this album. Track 7, which is Red Flag Day. So who's going first?
Okay. I'm going to give this
You've got that look in your eye, Robert.
I do. Let's dive in. No, listen. Another song on the new album that I just love. If U2 was doing their debut album in 2017, I think this is the sound they would. This recalls what they did with Boy, but it's updated. It has this great staccato, rapid fire guitar work. Kind of a straightforward in way, but it just has a real energy and enthusiasm to the song. This is not a band resting on their laurels. This is a band that's still having fun, still wants to get in the studio and make great music. Love the song, and I'll have to say you need to listen to the end because it has that great last chord. I don't know if you recall offhand, kind of discordant at the end, and I just love the way the song even goes out. It has all this kind of fire, enthusiasm going on. I just love it. It makes you feel excited about you too.
Cool. I'm glad. Good to see you. I'm glad I can see the enthusiasm in your face as you talk about this track.
One thing I would say, because if we do say anything, or if I do say anything negative, people have to understand U2. When I saw them at the US Festival, I didn't even know who U2 was.
Yeah.
I went there primarily to see Bowie. He had not played in the United States in 5 years. I had never seen Bowie. I was very young. In U2, I got there right before they played, got up near the stage. Seeing them in 1983 and seeing Springsteen in 1980, I have to say, are the two concerts more than any other that probably impacted me. I mean, these were two concerts that just simply blew me away. U2, I mean, it was 90 degrees out when they were playing, but I had chills. I mean, it just blew me. So I am a huge fan. I went and saw them the next year. I think they came to Long Beach, saw them the Joshua Tree tour, some, I mean, I've seen them so many times. I saw them when they did an Amnesty tour with Bryan Adams and Sting. I mean, every opportunity I've had to see U2. I even recently went up to Vancouver to see them. So I'm a huge fan, and I always, excited by what they're going to do next, and always, I'm always rooting for U2. So so when I say something critical, believe me, I don't say it as somebody that doesn't like. I mean, I love U2.
Yeah.
They're up there with the Beatles for me, one of the greatest bands ever.
Yeah, I think it's safe to say that you're saying you if you don't like a song as well, it doesn't mean it's a bad song.
Yeah.
It just means that it's not the strongest U2 song.
Right, you're comparing it to your favorites, of which there's many, right, Kathy?
Of course, yeah. I mean, it's levels of quality, and also when you compare it to what else is out there in the market today.
Yeah.
It's still above the rest.
Yeah, they're still very much competing
mind, anyway.
and excelling. Yeah.
Okay. Well, definitely, Robert, I share your enthusiasm for this track as well, although I have to point out how much of a difference 24 hours can make. When I first listened to this song, my first notes were, I like the chunky guitar riff and the chunky bass line that pounds underneath it. My first comment was, and you're not going to believe this, I actually said, verse is stronger than chorus. I actually said that.
That's interesting.
And it's like, okay, I did say this, okay. Now, I've, of course, like I said, listened to it a couple more times since then. I have to ask myself, what was I smoking yesterday? Because now I'm like, wait a minute, this is an incredibly strong chorus. What was I saying? I love the jubilant feeling of this song, how it just bounces around like a young kid.
Yeah.
I feel the song.
So we both got that. I think, and I don't know if it's intentional or not, but you two achieved that.
Yeah,
with Red Flag Day.
Yeah, this is to me, this would have been a better advanced single than "You're the Best Thing About Me" to me. This just pops and bounces, and it does make me now want to start dancing to it. I really enjoy this song a lot.
Yeah.
If there are no more comments on this one, we'll move to track 8. And track 8 is called The Showman, parentheses, Little More Better, end parentheses. Who wants to start?
Surprise, surprise. I love this song.
Okay.
I think it is a lot of fun. It's musically and lyrically. I like kind of the sing-along nature of it. I don't know. I think I kind of get the feeling that Bono's talking about his bandmates here, and that, how they support him and make him a better performer.
The line, you make me look better.
Yeah.
In other words. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I get that. Okay. Robert, do you, before I say anything, do you want to say something?
No, all I was going to say, I kind of echo Kathy. It's just a really upbeat, infectious song that, I could see this live, like people singing along and kind of dancing around. It's just a great song. It's not going to stand out as one of the greatest songs ever or something, but I have to say, taken... apart from everything, it's a good, solid song. They're great vocal performance from Bono, and I like the acoustic nature of it. It just works. Good song.
I feel like this song continues the jubilant nature of the previous song. It really continues it on a little further. I like the lo-fi acoustic sound at the beginning, especially since there has been a lot of programming in this album. And I'm going to talk about production in my closing thoughts, which is one of my primary criticisms about this album. But to me, it's a welcome relief to hear this kind of lo-fi acoustic guitar sound to it. I feel like the song milks late 50s, early 60s pop and rock in a very good way. It has that kind of feel to it to me. On this one, once again, the Edge is not the sole guitar player. Ryan Tedder, one of the album's producers, is also playing guitar. They're playing guitar on this one. And and it's once again, it's got this really fun, absolutely fun chorus. Is it the greatest song, like you said, the greatest song U2's ever done? No, but it's definitely one of the more fun songs that U2 has done. And fun is something we don't think of a whole lot when we think of U2.
You're right.
And it's definitely something we got with this track and the previous track. We definitely got some fun, which is kind of to me, it's actually kind of revolutionary for you.
You're
too.
right. It's funny you're saying that, and I go, that's right, because that's over the years when I've talked to some of my classic rock fans, when I would tell them how much I loved U2, they would say, the difference between a band like U2 and the Beatles is the Beatles could be very serious,
yes,
like A Day in the Life, but they could also do these, they could also do these kind of quirky and fun songs.
Exactly.
And U2, but you're right. So this is a little bit of a departure from what we're used to, and that very observant on your part. I mean, I agree with you.
Yeah, when everybody's wearing black. When everybody's wearing black, it's the guy that's dressed like the clown that's the revolutionary at that point. And this is to me, these two songs feel like U2 clowning around a bit, which is I think is great.
It's great, yeah.
Okay, so now before we move on now, any other final comments before we move to track 9?
I'm good.
Okay.
I'm good. Yeah.
Okay, so track 9, The Little Things That Give You Away. Okay, so who wants to go first on this one?
I think Kathy's going to go first. Yeah.
I'll go.
Yeah.
Younger Edge called. He wants his guitar riffs back.
And
Very reminiscent of, your classic unforgettable fire feeling guitar riffs on this song.
Mm-hmm.
I think the song is about mortality, which is kind of a recurring theme.
on a lot of the songs, yes, I agree.
I enjoyed this song quite a bit.
Okay.
I liked it a lot.
Okay.
Yeah, I would agree with what you're saying. I has that signature guitar sound, with a digital delay, and very beautiful, and like only the Edge can play. Very beautiful. It's an intimate kind of approach, which you see across this album a lot, which works. And the song has a gradual build that also really works in its favor. It's just a beautiful song. This is a song that I'm looking forward to spending more time with. I think it's going to reveal more things to me in the days ahead. More than is possible with only hearing it over the course of a day. So I think this is one of the songs I'm looking forward to how it's going to grow on me, if that makes some sense. It's not like like the previous songs, Red Flag Day, where it just bursts out of the gate and it really catches. This is much more, nuanced and much more, more intimate, and it's going to take a little bit of time to grow.
Exactly.
Definitely with this song, we are back, of course, now to the serious U2. Mm-hmm. Although what we normally think of U2 is we normally think of them as very serious. Mm-hmm. And I'll admit there's sometimes two ways that I hear a song. When I hear it when I'm just listening to it without any lyrics, and then when I hear it when I'm reading the lyrics as I listen. Because sometimes the lyrics don't always I don't know what it is about me, but sometimes the lyrics don't always catch my ear when I'm listening to it. I don't quite know understand what's being said with it. And it just kind of becomes part of the overall shape of the music. Mm-hmm. I'm hearing more the melody than I am the actual words. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so this song was kind of I was kind of on the fence about it when I was first listening to it, just casually. I was like, okay, all right. Kind of a nice song, I thought. But it had a lot more impact when I sat with the lyrics and actually read it while I listened to it. It made much more of an impact for me. So like you, I kind of do wonder if this song might reveal more to me as time goes on. One thing I did want to say is the line where he says, "I'm not a ghost now," at the very beginning. Mm-hmm. Definitely going back to Kathy's comment about being about mortality, definitely it makes me think about the recent experiences that Bono has had, where he had that accident he was in.
Very bad one, yeah. I
believe there were some other situations he was in where he's had to kind of had that possibility of facing his own mortality. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I know there was that problem with his back.
Right.
We wondered if he'd be able to tour again, mm-hmm. if U2 would be able to perform again. Mm-hmm. And so that definitely makes you change how you look at your life. So I kind of wonder with lines like that about, if that's dealing with that. Mm-hmm. I'm not a ghost now. I'm not dead yet. Okay.
It almost forces an artist to grow.
Yeah.
Given those kind of things that can occur. Some artists might fully ignore it, but I think U2 being, how great they are, I think these things are going to come into their music and especially in Bono's lyrics.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So yeah, like you, Robert, I'm still kind of waiting on this song a bit. I'm going to give this. I feel like there was too much work put into it lyrically for me to just dismiss it. Mm-hmm. Because it didn't grab me right away. Mm-hmm. I feel like it needs a little bit more time to percolate.
Okay.
Inside of me.
That is often the case with U2 songs.
Do you feel that way? Because you seem.
In general.
You know,
A lot of them.
really? Okay. Do they sometimes need time to percolate with you?
Absolutely.
Okay.
They're like Running to Stand Still is my favorite U2 song of all time.
One of mine too.
I didn't get it right away.
Really? Okay.
I liked it. It was, it was a good song. But I like all U2 songs, so it's kind of a given. But it's one that grew and built, and as you see them live, the songs change.
Mm-hmm.
And they grow.
Yeah. I mean, I'm thinking of a song like Acrobat. Like, I remember when I first heard it, I liked it, but now I just love it. But it took almost like years for that to evolve, for me to totally get. I mean, and that's a sign of a great band and great songs.
Exactly.
That you do have a long time relationship with these songs, and they take on added meaning and depth as you go through your life.
Yeah, that's one of the things that makes U2 great.
Mm-hmm. This brings up a theory of mine, and something that's going to be a discussion for another day. Is just, I've always felt that music is harder to assimilate than motion pictures. Mm-hmm. Even though motion pictures are longer, you can watch a motion picture and for the most part you get it right on the first viewing. For the most part. Yeah. But music takes repeated listening before you really start to understand it, in my opinion. Even a short 3-minute song.
Think about it. How many times, having been a long-time music critic and entertainment critic, I used to do a movie column for the Register as well. You can go to a movie once and you can opine on it. You might be more in depth if you've seen it a couple times. But I think it's pretty safe to say many movie critics see a movie once and they write about it. As a music writer, sometimes like an album like this, I could listen to it 3 or 4 times and I don't even know if I'm fully prepared to really give it an honest and full-fledged assessment.
Yeah, many music critics have to, though.
Yeah.
They have no choice.
You have no choice because you have to
meet a deadline.
You get the music and then you don't have very much time to get the review out.
Yeah.
But I think this is and I'm going to have to do my print review after another day or so. So I'm going to give it some more time. But yeah, I'm sure if I would have a month with this album, it'd be a very different review.
Okay, very interesting. So now we're going to move on to track 10. Track 10 entitled Landlady. Now, who will be taking the lead on this one here?
I'll go ahead. I really like this song. I think it's very beautiful. But it's one it's one of those that I think is gonna grow. Especially we're planning on going and seeing them when they come around touring for this album in May. And I think that it's a song that's going to grow as it's performed live, as is often the case with U2.
Why? Do you have any thoughts on why it's called Landlady? What do you think the song is about?
I'm guessing that it's about his wife.
Again?
Okay. I think he's kind of obsessed, maybe.
Which is a good thing after being married so many years. That's pretty cool.
That is good. That is good, yeah. Robert, what do you want to go ahead, or were you done, Kathy?
I'm done.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I was going to say it's a very beautiful song. I like the quiet, introspective kind of synth opening that goes on. The emphasis here is on Bono's vocals and what he has to say. Obviously, I think about his wife as well, and it's a pretty song. But I think it's one of those ones that I think since there's many U2 songs on this album that kind of are in this kind of sonic region, I think that you're going to need a little bit more time for that separation between tracks. And but yeah, no, I think it's a very, very good song, and I think only U2 could get away with calling a song Landlady. Okay. A love song but called Landlady.
That makes me think about that joke, especially if we're going with the idea that it's about his wife, that joke about a musician. What do you call a musician without a girlfriend? Homeless, to-dum-tum, because there is that line where he says, you were there to pay the rent, when I was broke. Yeah. And I'm not sure that he really means that literally. Like literally, like you were there to pay the rent. Now maybe he does. Maybe there was that point in time when they were like a starving group and she was the means of support. I don't know. Yeah. But I think you can also look at that line metaphorically. You were there to pay the rent when I was broke, meaning you were there to fill me back up when I was emotionally empty. Yeah. Maybe something like that.
Yeah, I think that's accurate.
I think that's an accurate analogy.
Yeah. So in this case, I'll be a little bit more of the good guy here for a change, since I'm the real U2 hater in the crowd here. We all know how much I hate U2. My first listen was kind of like I'm indifferent about it, but at this point now, I'm really liking this song. after 24 hours, I'm really liking this song, so I'm going to be the little bit of the good guy here on this track and say more positive things about it than you two haters do.
Yeah.
Since I know you're both you two haters.
Yeah.
And so, anyways, now that's Landlady, track 10. Now, if there's nothing else that anybody wants to say, I'm going to move on to track 11, which is one of the other 4 pre-release tracks, The Blackout. So, who would like to discuss this song first?
I think I'll give it a
sure.
A go. Yeah. The Blackout is a song that immediately struck me. I mean, I just love this song from the get-go. It does recall a little bit of the feel of Octung Baby, or a lot of the feel of Octung Baby, for sure. I just love Adam's bass on here. I mean, it's just throbbing, and there's a lot of power and energy. And I like the interplay between the whole rhythm section, and Bono's vocals and the other music going on. I just, it's very dynamic and just a lot of power and energy. I just love this track.
Awesome.
That's simple.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree. It's really good. A little bit more of a political vibe on this one, I think.
Okay, and why do you say that?
It just, I don't hear anything going on about. It's not as personal as the others. It just doesn't feel lyrically as
so you
personal.
feel it's more political because it's
more political
less personal.
Than,
okay, I guess that might be one good way to define some of these songs.
Yeah.
If it's less personal, it might be more political. I don't know. Maybe we shouldn't jump to that.
Yeah.
There is that line about where he says, Big Mouth says people don't want to be free for free, which is an interesting line, I thought. And I definitely do kind of take that as maybe a political line. But there's
I
that.
wonder who that could be directed.
Well, we'll
we could all venture a good guess.
We could all venture a good guess, yeah. But like you, Robert, I pretty much. It took me maybe 2 or 3 listens, and then I was totally on board with the song. This was the first of the pre-release tracks where I was like, yes, I'm
me
in.
too. This is of the pre-release tracks. This is the one that said, okay, I'm excited to hear this new album, and this is getting me. Yeah.
I have to admit, this is just even, it's funny because some of these songs I will definitely say need the context of the rest of the album to appreciate them as best you can. But this song does not need the context of the rest of the album. This song just works on its own. And there are others that are the same way.
They could go on the Grammys or something, just do the song, and they're just going to kill it. No, you too. As great as it is on the album, live it's even going to be stronger. Yeah. So it's just fantastic.
Yeah, okay. So we are going to move on now to track number 12, entitled Love is Bigger Than Anything in Its Way. Probably the longest title track on the album.
I think you should go.
Yeah, let's let you go first.
Okay, all right. So, first of all, generally speaking, I am very nervous about a song when the title... with titles this long. When it has this long title, I'm generally kind of nervous. Unless that title is the punchline to a joke, I'm generally pretty nervous about it. However, I do feel that this song manages to carry the weight of its title. It's particularly hard when you've got a song with a really long title to sing that in the chorus every time.
It is, yeah.
That's why I say it could come off as very clunky. And when I say clunky, I mean melodically clunky. But I felt like it pulls it off really well.
Yeah, I found the song to be anthemic, inspired. It's a bigger sounding song than many of the other songs on the album, which I like. That I love the way that the piano chords kind of bang. Like there's like a very simplistic kind of approach. Like the piano's used percussively, almost like a drum, and in Bono's soaring tenor. I can't say enough good things. I mean, I'm only a day into this album, and I just absolutely am hooked. I love this song.
Okay.
Yeah, this is to me one of my favorite songs on the album.
Wow. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Awesome.
Yeah, I like this song too.
Do you really? Okay. Well, we're surprised, but you are the super fan. But
I do like to surprise on occasion.
Tell us about the song, though. What you think it's about?
I have a feeling that I think it's about one of his sons.
Okay.
It's definitely one that feels a little more personal and
a lot more personal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
True.
Definitely. Okay, so I guess we're just kind of. Anything else on this particular track that anybody wants to say?
No, just I'd love to hear this on the radio and or hopefully get some exposure. Maybe they'll do it on some of their appearances and stuff. And obviously, we'll probably hear it in concert.
To me, it's like this song. It's a philosophical statement. Love is bigger than anything in its way.
Yeah.
And that the title just sums it up right there. I mean, you got the whole song in a nutshell, and the verses are just kind of elaboration on that. That's it.
Yeah.
Okay. So now this brings us to the end of the album. Now, I got to say this. This is track 13, which is entitled 13, parentheses, There Is a Light, and parentheses. So track 13 is actually called 13. And who is going to go first?
I will go.
Okay.
This is a reprise of Songs for Someone from
Songs of Innocence.
Songs of Innocence.
Okay.
It's very beautiful. I think it's a message directed at his kids.
Oh, okay. Okay. Robert, there's something I'm going to say, but go ahead.
Excuse me. What I have to say, the song is just absolutely gorgeous, even though we've kind of heard the one theme. And I just love that line, darkness always gathers around the light. I mean, just really powerful. It's just beautiful. The last song we talked about, the pulsating, pounding piano. The exact opposite here. We have a light piano, and it sounds like the percussion is almost like on congas or something. Or maybe he's just using his hands on a tom or something like that. But this is another example on the album. Less is more. But where the song really takes it is just that chorus is just so beautiful. It is as beautiful as a chorus as they've ever written. As far as melodically, just the melody is so. It's so gorgeous, and in the arrangement and the performance, supports that.
Okay, yeah. I feel the song, there's definitely a hymn-like quality to this song, and it's definitely, to me, a continuation of the previous song. Love is Bigger Than Anything in Its Way, and then this kind of, to me, continues that theme by saying that there is a light. To me, it feels like it's part two.
Yeah.
And very hymn-like. I agree. It's a very beautiful song. So that brings us to the end of the album proper. Now, I know there's going to be some people are going to say, well, what about the bonus tracks? But this is the album. These 13 tracks are the album. Everything else is supplemental material. I'm not saying the bonus tracks aren't worthy. I'm saying it's supplemental. It's not the album.
What we've just discussed track by track is the album itself.
Is the album itself. With that said, let's discuss closing thoughts on the album itself, and who wants to go first?
I'll go ahead and jump in. I think we've kind of talked about it, or we've danced around it a little bit. But you listen to Songs of Innocence, which came out in 2014, and Songs of Experience came out here in 2017. I think together they capture kind of where U2 is today, what's going on in their lives, how they see the world, their lives, like you said, like we've talked about, they're getting older now, they're middle-aged now, so but they still have a passion for making music, and they make music together, these same four guys, which is really, so, I know ZZ Top's been making music together a long time, but U2 is obviously
tremendously amazing, they're still doing it.
But U2 to do at the level they have, to not be, here they are basically, 40 years into their career, they're not a nostalgic act. They're not considered just a legacy act. You can talk about them being a classic rock band, but they're also a very contemporary, relevant, modern-day band as well. And, no other band, not even the Stones, and I know I'm going to offend some people there, Blue and Lonesome was a great comeback or whatever, but what U2 has accomplished has never been done by any other artist. It really hasn't. And the fact that they continue to challenge themselves and their listeners, I know I said that earlier, is just spectacular. And I like this album. We're a day into it, but I'm looking forward to spending the next days and weeks and years with this album and seeing what else I get out of it, just like I have with their previous albums.
And I don't think your comment about the Rolling Stones is unfair, because the Rolling Stones lineup has changed.
It has.
It's not the same guys that it was at the beginning. We've got the same four guys that it's always been since the very beginning with U2, and that's kind of the difference. And I'm not saying that makes the Stones not good, but it's just, you're right. What they've accomplished, the same four guys for this long of a time period. I'm sure there are probably some other bands that have been around as long that maybe we're not thinking of right now, and we will get corrected on by
they've gone on high, like everybody
viewers,
knows that. Like, I'm a huge Zombies fan, but they had a long time where they weren't together. And there have been some membership changes, even though the key guys are still there. But U2, really, there's no other artist that I can think of that's a band. I'm not talking about Elton John or Bruce Springsteen. But as far as a band, without any personnel changes, that's done what they have done, it's really extraordinary
And I think what qualifies your comment is that they've reached the status that they've attained, because I'm sure there's some other bands that we haven't thought of that have had the same band members for the same length of time, possibly longer, that we're not thinking of, but they haven't reached a status that U2 has reached as far as being a worldwide
that level,
a phenomenon. Yeah, exactly, worldwide phenomenon, and maintained it.
Right. Now here in Southern California, there's a radio station called 88.5. They play all these, they're playing the more contemporary, modern groups and stuff. And last few days, I've been hearing a lot of U2 on there, and that's, with some of these other bands that came up when U2 did, whether I'm thinking in bands that I like very much so, like The Fix or some of these other groups, you're just not hearing, when they release new music, you're just not hearing it all over the radio.
Yeah.
And it's not embraced by young critics and old critics. And I mean, you really think about it, and it's really special.
It's not an easy thing to do in today's world to maintain that.
Yeah, it almost defies belief that they've been able to do it with all the changing styles and with everything going. Like you mentioned, Lady Gaga's on this album.
Yeah,
I mean that. You think about it, that's crazy what U2's been able to do, and
Kendrick Lamar's on it,
and without selling out, with being authentic and being true to who they are, they continue to do it at the top of their game. And that's impressive.
I agree.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, there's some things I want to say. Kathy, is there anything else you want to say?
I'm good.
You're good. Okay, we're glad you're good. And this is definitely, like I said, an album about facing mortality. We've been getting a lot of these albums from acts that have been around the block, for a while now, where they're singing about the fact that they're facing mortality. And U2, they are actually, I think, beyond middle age. They're creeping. They're getting close to
getting close to 60.
They're 60s. Yeah. They're all getting in there, where they realize they don't have all the time left in the world. And this album, and for someone like me, that should be something that really relates to me, because I'm in that same age range where I'm realizing I don't have all the time in the world left anymore. I'm not that
more than half your life is more than likely behind you.
Exactly. I know you guys don't want to. I know you guys are a lot younger than me, a lot younger than me.
Oh, do we wish, right?
Especially because of that cryogenic.
Especially because I left you in cryogenic.
Yeah, that's right.
I know you're a lot younger.
But that was only for 3 years.
The positive thing I'm going to say is I think this album is a lot better than Songs of Innocence. I think this album is a step above it. It's definitely a better album in my opinion. I still think Songs of Innocence is a pretty good album. On the critical side, I will say about this album is that 3 years roughly, maybe close to 4, depending on how you look at the time frame between releases. I know it's, if you look at it just from 2014 to 2017, 3 years, but I think there's, if you count all the months, probably closer to 4 years.
Okay.
Working on the album. 4 producers. Songs of Innocence went through quite a few producers too before it finally kind of settled on 2 of them. To me, I think the one thing I feel like this album would be stronger if, and once again, this is all speculation on my part. I don't know the band. I don't know anybody involved, but I can't help but feel that while the album is a little overproduced, that it would be better if it was a little underproduced, if it was relied more on spontaneity of the band. When you think about 3 to 4 years, roughly, approximately making it. While I'm going to say I feel it's a little overproduced, I don't think it kills the album. Mm-hmm. Certainly not by what you've heard me say about all the songs. I don't think it kills the album at all. I think it's a good album and a better album than the last album. But I can't help but feel that the album could have been even better if maybe it had not been quite so produced, and maybe if it had relied more on the spontaneity of the band and capturing that spontaneity and capturing more those initial first impulses and then shaping those songs from there. Once again, this is pure speculation on my part. I may be totally talking out of my behind with this comment because I'm not there. I don't know these people, but that's just my feeling, my personal feeling. That's all. So I want to really clarify that comment. But yeah, definitely I'm feeling it for this album.
Great, yeah. And I think one thing all 3 of us fully agree on is that we want and need to listen to the album, a little more than a day to get the full effect.
Absolutely.
And I think the fact that all 3 of us are saying we want to is a great sign.
Yeah, exactly.
That we want to. I think it's a very important thing to point out here. So, okay, that's basically, I think, it for us. I think, does anybody else have any last thing, and you two have anything you want to say before I throw you back in cryogenic freezing again?
No, it's getting warm, so maybe that's a good thing. Maybe we need to cool off.
Maybe you want to eat something.
Yeah.
I know you haven't had a meal in a couple of years.
Maybe a pizza or something.
Yeah, exactly.
So.
But I want to just thank everybody. We want to thank everybody for listening in and share with us your thoughts, good or bad. Do you agree with us? Do you disagree with us? And if you do disagree with us, please explain why. Please just talk about it and let us know what you think. And we're all looking forward to checking out your comments. And till next time, just everybody, thanks again for watching. Take care.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.